I'm working on this Enticer 340 snowmobile right now. I've ridden this snowmobile more than any other snowmobile this year. This one's pretty much like my favorite. It's been really reliable too, but one issue it has that I've been ignoring that's pretty annoying is the rear shock on it. And here it is right here. It actually seized up, and since it must have been sitting for a few years or something, and when it seized up, the mounts ripped right off the frame where this was mounted on here. So I just kind of pulled this off, but I've been riding the thing with no shock absorber. So the suspension on it, it's just like a spring, and it's a pretty awful ride. It bottoms out, it's really hard on the back. So I got this new shock for it, and it's the same thing, and you know, it's stiff, but this isn't, you know, it's a good new shock, it's not seized up. So I gotta install this, and since the ear is ripped off the frame on this thing, it's a little bit more of a job, so I gotta do some welding. Okay, so this shock was supposed to mount right in here. This is the side that broke. You can see that this thing is all rusted and broken, and I don't think I'm going to be able to make this repair with this track frame in place and the track on. I think I got to pull the track frame off of this. So that shouldn't be that bad though. It's probably these two bolts here, this bolt right here, and loosen up the track, and I should be able to pull that out of there. So let me get started. Alright, so I'm going to start out here by taking all the tension off the track. So I'll put some oil on the adjustment bolts and the bolts I gotta take out. So this one here, I probably need to just loosen this so the track adjustment can move. And then loosen this one up all the way. Alright, now that's adjusted so this can move all the way in. I got to do the same thing to the other side, but now I'm going to pull off Alright, all the bolts are out of this. Should pull right out now. Alright, this will be a lot easier to work on up on the workbench. So you can see this is where it broke here. Here's that bad shock that's frozen, so it was going from here to there, and when it froze up, it broke this off instead of, that's where it broke. So this is pretty easy to see where that went. That was right there. And let's just weld that back together. All right, this piece out of the old shock, it's frozen on there, so gotta try to get that apart. All right, I'm having a hard time getting that off of there. You know, I could go to the hardware store and get like a metric pin like that. You know, 1/2 inch is a little too big. 7/16 is a little small, but it would work. But let me just try to cut this off of here. If I can't get it, I'll just do something else. All right, got it. That was a lot of work to salvage that weird metric pin, but it's a little nicked up, but it's all right. All right, cool. Now this is ready to go back on the snowmobile. Look at these stainless steel bolts. You think it came from the factory like this? I don't know. That's pretty nice though. These came right out. All the suspension bolts are tight on this side, so I got to get this back into place. All right, now all I gotta do is tighten the track. All right, cool, that's all done. So let's see how the suspension is now. Well, it's a lot stiffer, but you know, it feels more like there's a shock in it now. It doesn't just, you know, all the motions are dampened out. All right, so other than that, this thing was pretty much perfect. So this should be a much more comfortable ride now. Let me work on another one. Bravo I converted to a long track. This needs to get longer. I don't know, what do you think, a foot? And I brought it out the other day, for the entire day and rode it all day. And it worked, ran great, starts easy, drives good, everything, all day. The issue I have with it, I think when I put on the other drive wheel from the other track, this is the drive off the 250, this is the drive off the 540. It's a little bit bigger. The diameter of that drive wheel was a little bit bigger than the diameter that was on here. And what happened was it geared the whole snowmobile a little bit higher. And so what happens when you get near top speed on it, the motor, it pretty much bogs out because I think the belt is gearing it higher faster than it should be, and it doesn't give the motor a chance to rev out and be in the right RPM range based on where it's geared. So I see there's a few different size sprockets available for these snowmobiles. So hopefully I can just change them to correct the gearing. So first I gotta open this up and see what size sprockets I have in here, or you see how many teeth are on them. All right, so what do we got here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 11, 12, 13. Okay, we got a 13 tooth on the front, and I think a 12 is available, so that's good. For the bigger sprocket, we have 20, 21, 22 teeth. All right, so here's the 13 tooth sprocket that was on the snowmobile, and I just got this one. All right, so that's a 12 tooth sprocket, so that's going to change the gearing a little bit because it's just a little bit smaller, but that's all it should take. And it also looks like an 11 is available just in case this isn't enough. All right, that chain looks pretty good. That's about probably the right tightness right there. If I had adjusted this in much more, I'd probably take a link out of that chain. All right, the belt guard on the snowmobile, it goes right there. So I think it was originally attached with some nuts, but that's kind of annoying when you need to change a belt and you don't have any tools with you because you're out riding. So really what it should have is wing nuts, and I don't have any metric wing nuts, but I'll just take this tap and tap it. So there's an American wing nut. And it's almost the same diameter, but the threads are different because, it's American, it's like 5/16, and this is 8 millimeter. So I'll just take this tap and use it to tap that wing nut the right size. All right, and I had this bulb blow out when I got this thing. Then I put a used one in it, and that blew out pretty quick. So, I don't know. And the glass, how's the glass breaking? Here, let me vacuum all that glass. Alright, so let's take this for a test drive now with that new 12-tooth sprocket. Alright, well, installing that 12-tooth sprocket definitely helped. You know, it may even be a drop better with an 11, and an 11 is available, but I have another one of these snowmobiles I'm working on, so as soon as I finish fixing that one, I'll be able to compare them. But, you know, this has definitely been, since I fixed this, a very reliable, fun little snowmobile, so, you know, I don't know how fast I'm expecting it to be. You know, it could maybe be a little faster with the 11th tooth, but, you know, these 340s are definitely a little quicker. Alright, the pull starter rope just broke on this snowmobile. So I have a spool of, this is genuine pull starter rope. This is about the same diameter as the snowmobile rope. If you're doing it on a lawnmower or something, they sell different size pull start ropes. But, you know, I usually have a roll of big rope and a roll of small, and that's usually enough to fix anything. So what is this? This is 100 feet of 7/30 seconds. Alright, so I'll show you how to do this. Alright, we're going to start. So this is how you fix a pull start assembly on pretty much anything. A lot of people will make the mistake. They'll continue taking stuff apart. They'll take this apart and that spring will blow out of there. Do not do that. So first I'm going to take the old rope out of this handle. And some people, you know, they may try to tie that back together. You know, don't do, that's a waste of time because this rope is just going to keep breaking. You know, this rope is probably 30 plus years old and it needs to be replaced. And make sure you're using the right type of rope too, because that's important. Alright, so now we have our pull starter. I'm going to take the old rope out of it. Alright. So that's out. Now you wind this up. Wind it up all the way. You're probably not going to get much more out of it. And don't wind it till you break it. So, let's see, where was the spot? Alright, so now I'm going to take my new rope, and it's still on the spool. I haven't cut anything. But one thing I did do is I left this as a point and I melted it. Last time I cut a piece off of here. So, stick it through the pull rope hole. And then just feed it through. Now, it's important at this stage. Sometimes I'll use a C-clamp so I'm not stuck holding this the whole time. Because you don't want to let go of this, because sometimes what will happen is it will spin back and it'll actually break itself because the spring will go the wrong direction. Grab onto it with pliers. Alright, so now I got it. You tie a knot at the very end of it. Alright, so I got the knot at the very end. Make sure nothing's going to come untied or anything. So now, I'm going to pull the rope through and push that knot right into the spot where it's supposed to be. Now I'm just going to let the pull starter assembly wind itself up. Alright, so now we can put it back on the motor. Alright, so all the bolts are tight. Everything's back together. Now I just got to feed the rope through and put the handle on. Alright, so getting this the right length is important. I even could have fed it through here initially when I put it all together. I probably should have, but it's not a big deal. So you just kind of got to pull it. You know, make sure you got about an arm's length of pull. You know, and the rope isn't too short. And then let it wind up. Alright, that's a full pull right there. I guess I'm going to cut it right, but you can always cut it shorter if you have to. So I'm going to cut it right here and cut it at an angle. And just tie a knot in this. And let the knot go back in the handle. And that's it. That's how you do a pull starter. I'll put a link in the video description for this bulk pull start rope in the different sizes.